Hey there guys, Sam from DMC here, and I'm talking to you from a very cold office in the middle of Peterborough. I'm currently having to wear my coat and trying to stop my teeth from chattering over the microphone, so apologies if you hear that. I'm going to be showing you version 8 today, or SalesLogix version 8. This video is going to have just a couple of the little performance increases, as well as the nice little features within this software. We're going to be going into more detail, some of the more advanced features in subsequent videos, but this one we're just going to be showing you how quick this software is, and a couple of the neat little new features which Sage have added just to make your lives that little bit easier. I'm going to assume that you already know a lot about SalesLogix, and maybe you guys have used 754 or a previous version in the past, so do forgive me if I'm going to be assuming some of your knowledge, but this isn't really for people that have never seen SalesLogix before. This is for people that currently use SalesLogix and want to see what's new in version 8. Now, what I've found on the internet is there's very few videos out there really detailing what exactly is new. Yeah, okay, I've seen some teleconference calls which have been posted online along with some videos, but there's no real well-produced videos which is taking you through all of the new features in a nice, easy to follow way. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve here. And what you can see on my screen at the moment is the new SalesLogix version 8 with its new redesigned login screen. And I've also got it open in Mozilla Firefox. Now that may strike you as strange. Previously, Mozilla Firefox wasn't supported in SalesLogix. Indeed, the only browser that was supported was Internet Explorer 8 in 754. Now we're almost on the Internet Explorer 10 now. So that caused a little bit of frustration for you guys. So Sage made sure that they increased the diversity of the browsers that it supported, and the new version 8 is supported in Internet Explorer 9 and Firefox version 10. Now, although Firefox version 10 isn't the latest version of Firefox out there, I still think it's a decent enough browser, and I still think it's a lot better than Internet Explorer. So that's why you can see me using Mozilla Firefox in my browser today. It is now supported, which is an absolute godsend to us, because previously, if I'm honest, I always used Firefox in 754. There's just a few little things that didn't work in it, but I found that it was so much quicker and better than Internet Explorer. So that's enough of me waffling on. You guys want to see the software, so let's get logged in. Okay, so we'll start logging in. And what we can see here is the screens that you're used to, so there's no real culture shock going on here. We can still see all the navigation down the left-hand side with your data in the middle of the screen and your commonly used tasks running along the top. But what we can see is that the colouring of the software has changed. It's a lot easier on the eye. And actually, behind the scenes, a lot of the code has now changed. For instance, we're now looking at the logon dashboard, which I'm sure most of you will be familiar with. Now, it doesn't look any different. Indeed, you'll be fooled into thinking there's been no change to this whatsoever. But in fact, the entirety of the dashboard, apart from the sales funnel, has been completely redesigned in HTML5. Now, what does that mean? That means that previously, you used to have to install Adobe Flash Player to actually get the dashboard to work within SalesLogix. It wouldn't be a massive problem because a lot of you use Adobe Flash Player anyway, but the problem with Adobe Flash Player is it's kind of clunky. You used to have to wait for each dashboard to load up individually before the next one would load. And if you've got quite a big sales dashboard with lots of different entities loading, you'd have to wait up to 3, 4, even 5 minutes for your sales dashboard to load completely. Well, now we're using HTML5, that is just going to be so much quicker, and it's also going to look slightly better as well. And you can see here, this is an example of a sales dashboard. You can see here, it does look slightly different, and I think it actually looks slightly crisper. You haven't got the waiting for the entities to build. And I have to stress here, I am on a VM machine with only 2 GB of RAM, and that's hosting SQL Server, that's hosting the admin tools and servers, that's hosting the demonstration itself as well. You're getting a performance these days with SalesLogix version 8 which blows 754 out of the water. On this VM, I find it's quicker to use and browse through SalesLogix on this VM with 2 gigs of RAM than it is to browse through a system with 3 or more dedicated servers just for SalesLogix. On my VM with 2 gigs of RAM, this is faster. That's one of the main reasons why you should be upgrading to version 8, because it's a massive performance hike on 754. They've completely redesigned a lot of the code. And we're moving through the system as if it were on a dedicated 754 box. It is just as quick, if not faster, I find, than 754 on a fully dedicated environment. You can see here, look at this, just moving through. It's just so much more responsive. They've also implemented some new functionality. They've moved things around a little bit and just added a few little new buttons. It's not really going to change the way you use SalesLogix. It's just perhaps going to make you think about how quickly you're actually using the software. Previously, if one of your colleagues added on a new account onto the system, and you were already looking at the list view, you would have to obviously refresh the page to be able to see that new account. Now, that's still the case, you know. There is a limitation with web technology. You've still got it. There's still an element of refreshing involved. But now, instead of having to click on the refresh button and wait for the entire page to load again, and that includes all the navigation on the left, that includes, you know, the actual page itself, all you have to do these days is click on this little refresh button here, and that will just refresh the items in that list. It doesn't refresh the entire page. That's going to be a massive benefit to those of you that find that you're updating your system quite often. And previously, you'd have to, you know, press F5 or press the refresh button to refresh the entirety of the system. Now, you just got to press the refresh button, and you see your refreshed list. So that's a huge advantage. You've also got the log off button used to appear along the top here, and it caused some confusion. People couldn't find the log off button, or indeed they didn't used to bother logging off. They used to just simply close out of the window. And that used to cause some pretty strange occurrences in SalesLogix, because you're not really telling your browser, I am logging off now, drop the session. You're just closing the window, and you're not actually doing anything to say to SalesLogix, I am now logged off. So there was a bit of a security problem there, because because you weren't actually ending the session, someone could, in theory, grab your cookie once you've moved away from your computer and hijack your session. Now, there was a security risk with that by clicking that close button. That's why we always tell our customers, never click the close button, always log off. And they've made it slightly easier to find that log off button by moving it down here. So not a huge change, but it's just from a usability standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. Another change that they've made in SalesLogix version 8 is the ability to search for your dynamic groups, or indeed your ad hoc groups if you've got any. Now, previously, if you wanted to find the dynamic groups that you've created, if you're logging in as an administrator, or let's say you're a database admin and you've got a lot of groups in your system, yes, you could sit there and hide the ones you weren't using, but to be honest, it would be an absolute pain to find the groups that you were working with the other day. Even if you knew what that group was called, you'd have to sit there and some people I've seen as well on training courses, to find their groups, they would sit there and click this arrow button until they found it. It would take them ages to find the group that they were looking for. Now, those that are a little bit more wise would use this group list at the top, and they'll be able to see alphabetically the list of groups that they've created. Well, now you'll see up here we've got this find function, which does a contains search function on all of the groups. So what I mean by that is, if I were to search for instance, the word test, and click on search, what you'll see here, we've got latest accounts and test. Now, that's obviously because it's a contain statement. The word test is in the word latest. So what we've now got is a list of 2 groups that we've created recently that we can see. So it makes it a lot easier to find the groups that we're looking for. So the last piece of small functionality that I want to show you before we start moving into the much larger version 8 features is the removal of pagination in the web version of SalesLogix. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by pagination is, with notes and history items, you would hit around 20 or so notes and history items against an account before SalesLogix would automatically create a new page, so put the rest on page 2. Now, this was to reduce loading times of the SalesLogix web, but the problem with that is, if you've got a particular email attachment that you've sent your customer perhaps months ago, what you'd have to do is you'd have to browse through all of the pages in SalesLogix until in the notes and history section, in SalesLogix, until you found that one history item that you sent months ago. It was difficult, to say the least. So what they've done in version 8 of the web is they've got rid of that pagination, and instead they've just allowed for one easy to browse through streaming source. So what we can see here, we can easily, instead of having to click on page, we just browse our way through the notes and history. And it doesn't matter how many notes and history items we have, they'll just add to this particular view. Now, the way this page loads is in the same way that our list view loads in SalesLogix. So it doesn't load all of the content at once, but does still have it in one view. So if we move, for instance, like this through SalesLogix, you'll see we've got white space here. And that's because that content hasn't loaded yet. But if we give it a second, it will then load. So what that means is when we go into the Notes and History against Abbott Limited, the Notes and History tab loads in exactly the same way. It just gives us one easy to view page. Okay then guys, that's pretty much the end of the video. I've demonstrated the performance enhancements in SalesLogix version 8. I've also demonstrated the ability to search for groups and the small refresh button that you see here, and the ability to log off in SalesLogix down the bottom right. If one thing you guys have learned today, I hope you've picked up the fact that SalesLogix version 8 is now much faster. Sage have also concentrated on a lot of the features and usability within version 8. And I hope you've also picked up the fact that you should never close out of a SalesLogix window. You should always log off, lest some hackers steal your bag of cookies. So yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed the video and that this has whet your appetite for watching future ones. If you like what you see, by all means, click like and subscribe. Similarly, if you've got any comments or any questions, feel free to fill out the comments box below this video and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you on the other side.